Benson, obviously, fourth Bellator fight, and I feel like the honeymoon's over. You know what I mean? Like this is the real time. So just talk about it. I mean, I know you haven't necessarily gotten all the results that you wanted so far, but how would you describe kind of your experience so far and how this whole process has been for you?
It's been good. You know, I feel like I definitely deserve Bellator's a couple of great performances. I haven't given Bellator, I haven't given Scott, I haven't given Mike, who hooked me up and who's taken care of me, great performances. So I feel like I deserve to give them some great performances. I think I had one decent performance at best so far, and that was against Chandler, and I lost that one. So I think Korshkov threw me a butt whooping. He threw me a whooping. Patricio, Pitbull, I think, wasn't a great performance. I got my hand raised. I'll take the W any way I can get it, but it wasn't a great performance. So I'm looking to give Bellator, I got 3 more fights left in this contract. I'm looking to give them 3 great performances.
I know you're not the kind of guy to make excuses, but we know the knee was a problem the whole time. So, I mean, let's talk about it realistically. Yeah. How big of an impact was that on those performances?
Actually, I truly 100% believe the knee did not negatively affect my performance. It was a torn ACL. I had to do things differently, so I had to learn to get up differently. Did I still get up just as fast? Yeah, I still got up just as fast, but I had to learn how to adjust, how to change my body, how I stood up, or how I did this, or how I did that. But I still felt I did it just as fast, just as quick. In the Korshkov fight, I don't think the knee affected me at all. I was able to adjust, change, whatever. Against Patricio, it's the same thing. I was able to adjust, change. It was a close fight. I didn't have my best performance, but that was in large part to Patricio and him doing a great job and not allowing me to get comfortable. But I don't think it affected me negatively. For the Chandler fight, for that training camp, I sparred twice. Twice on Saturdays, hard MMA sparring. I started twice all the training camp because the knee, I just couldn't, at that point, I wasn't able to do what I wanted to do. I couldn't not just, stand up as quickly, but I had to change how I stood up, and I stood up a lot slower. I had to change this, I had to change that. So at that point, I knew it was time to have surgery because I'm not getting what I want to get out of my body. I not just changing how I stood up, but I'm standing up slower. I'm not as strong with it. So at that point, I knew, like, okay, I gotta have surgery now. It sucks, but okay.
How about all the stuff around it too? I mean, just getting used to a new home. I mean, you were working with the same people, the same organization. I mean, how much of that impacts? Because I know the fighting isn't just what happens in the cage; it's everything else around it too. What happens on fight week, how it all plays out. So, how difficult was that transition, or maybe you didn't expect?
I think that the transition over was pretty good. It was pretty smooth. I knew a lot of the guys here at Bellator, introduced from previous interactions and whatnot, but not a lot of them. But just the way they do things, how they do things, Bellator does things slightly different. Like the in the cage action is easy enough. That's no problem. No matter where you go in the world, a fight's a fight. Shut the cage door and 2 guys get after it. Done. But the whole week leading up to the process, doing the paperwork, how they do paperwork, how they do the interviews, like all that stuff is definitely a little bit different, and definitely a bit of an adjustment. But you try to just run with it. You try to go with it. You try to just go with the flow, and I'm able to do that in large parts with most things, and I think I was able to do that pretty well with the Bellator transition.
For whatever reason, to me, this fight feels almost like a fresh start. But it's weird because you've had so many fresh starts. I mean, WEC coming over to the UFC, and then holding the title, not holding the title, new organization. But does this feel to you like a fresh start?
I wouldn't necessarily say a fresh start, but I will say it feels good. It feels great to know in the back of my head that there's nothing wrong. There's no ailments. There's no knees doesn't feel quite right, but it's okay. I'll get it looked at later on. I'll get it taken care of, after I'm done fighting or this or that. But to know, like, truly, it's out of the back of your head that everything's good to go. No broken this, no torn this ligament, none of that. So it is refreshing to have that, to have 10 months off to fully recover, to fully heal up, to fully do my due diligence in the tedious rehab that's required to come back and be at 100% after rehab. All that stuff has led to I won't say just a breath of fresh air. Yeah.
Nice. Talk about the matchup with Patricio. I mean, you fought the best guys in the world in this weight class, no doubt about it. But dude has some serious power, right? I mean, what do you think about him when you break him down?
I think Patricio's super tough. I think he has great hands in his power. He's known for having a definitely knockout power, but I think he has knockout power in both hands, in his right and his left. His left, he throws that hook wide. He lands it clean on a lot of people. His big overhand right, that's pretty scary too. You want to stay away from that also. That being said, I think he moves pretty similarly to his brother, Patricio. I think that Patrici is a little bit more flat-footed. Patricio's a little bounces on the feet a little bit more, a little bit more active. I think Patrici has more power in his hands. I think that they both like this, similar combinations. They have the same training partners. They have the same, training coaches. So they both like the same combinations. They both like to counter certain things the same way. So you do this, they do that. You do that, they do this. So I think I'll have a decent feel for him, having spent 7-8 minutes in the cage with his brother. Whereas he doesn't have that same feeling, like that feeling out process. We kind of see how a guy move and whatnot. I think I will have that feeling out process. I'll have faster, quicker, having spent time in the cage with his brother, as opposed whereas he doesn't have that cage time with me.
I know that you got to focus on this fight. You got to get this result. But you mentioned the 3 fights left on the contract. I know you've always thrown around that 34-year-old date and that sort of thing. I mean, are you thinking that maybe those 3 could be your last 3, or are you just focusing on? I mean, what is the plan?
For me, the target date of 34, I was didn't do my due diligence in looking up the cutoff date. There's a cutoff date for any. I'm gonna join the military. I will join the military, but I'm older. I'm married. I have kids, so I'm not gonna do active duty. I was gonna do the reserves. But the cutoff date for the reserves for every branch is different. I'm an idiot, so I like, oh, the cutoff date's 34 for for all the military. No, you idiot. 34 for this branch. This branch is 28. This branch is 42. This branch is yada yada yada. So it's different for every branch. So I still will be joining the reserve military, but I have more time to do it now. That was the reason for the cutoff date. That being said, I do know I have a limited number of time left. I have like a year, 2 years, however you want to say it. I know I don't want to be fighting when I'm 40. I don't want to be fighting when I'm 37. I don't want to be fighting when I'm 36. So I have a limited time left. But in that time, because for most of my fights I don't take a whole lot of damage and I don't get hurt a whole lot. I don't, after my fights I think I've literally had 1 black eye in all my fights afterwards. So I don't take too much damage. I don't get beat up. I want those, however much I have, 24 months left, 36 months left, however long I have, I want those to be as action-packed as possible. I want to get 15 fights in those 3 years. I want to get 4 fights in this next year. I want to, because I stay relatively healthy. I want to be as active as possible and just get as many fights as I can. And hopefully they're all title fights, 55, top fight 170. Try this, try that. I'm just looking to stay active.
Very nice. I wonder, this card to me is interesting too, especially with you in the headline, because you got Lorenz, who came over, he's fighting a second time, trying to get it right. You got Roy making his debut. I wonder, I mean, you were such a trendsetter. I think your coming over to Bellator was a big kind of opening the gates for people to see, like, this might be a spot. Do you think about that at all? Like maybe what place you might have had in the sport's history, or at least this time, of people looking at options? I
think I get a lot of credit for being one of the first guys to come over, but I do think that there were guys before me, like Phil Davis. I don't know, there's some guys even before Phil who came over from the UFC, but I think being one of the bigger name acquisitions from Bellator, being a former champion, having the the UFC lightweight belt for as long as I did, and that sort of stuff, it was a bigger deal. And then also coming off like a 2-fight, 3-fight win streak is a bigger deal as opposed to coming off 2 losses or 3 losses, being cut by the UFC and then signing the Bellator. I think that was a bigger deal also. But now you have guys like Gegard, who's on a 5-fight win streak. Big name free agent, still talk about him fighting for, again, a title shot in the UFC. And then when he's a free agent, he decides to sign with Bellator, that's a huge deal. So I do think I will be talked about, but I think I'll be talked about amongst a lot of other guys as well who, they all did the same thing and took a chance and, signed with Bellator, and it's been working out pretty good so far.
Not bad. Last thing for me, you get a big win here. Are you thinking about championships? I mean, you've had your title chances. Is the Bellator belt important to you, or is it more important, as you said, to just get some exciting matchups, put on exciting fights, and keep yourself as busy as possible? I
want to stay as busy as possible, but I want the belt, period. I'm not here to be a regular Joe. I'm not here to be mediocre. I'm not here to be just a fighter. I'm here to be the best on the planet. So if I'm not at the top of the ladder, or I don't have the belt around my waist, then no, I won't be doing the sport, yes, I want to stay as busy as possible, but yes, I'm always aiming for that belt around my waist. I always want to be on the top ladder. I always want to have that big bullseye on my back. I think that, I can control what I can control. That's it. You can't control who you're going to face off against next. You can't control who, the Bellator matchmakers are going to match you up with. You can't control any of that stuff. What I can control, those 15 minutes inside the cage with Patrici coming up, and then come Saturday night, And then if I do my job and I do it well and have an impressive performance, I have an impressive knockout, submission. I know I have to do something impressive to earn a title shot against Primus. But that's what I can control. And then afterwards, I hope they give me a title shot against Primus. That'd be nice. I'd love to get my hands on him. I think him and I face off. I think I'll walk away easily with the belt around my waist, and having a belt, getting the Bellator belt is huge for me. It'll be the first time ever anyone has ever gone out and gotten 3 world championships from 3 legitimate world organizations. To be the first one to ever do it, to be a first when you're breaking records and doing that sort of stuff. Sometimes it takes time. You're not gonna do it on your first shot. Guys, all sorts of inventors and amazing guys, Steve Jobs. It takes more than once to do something amazing. So I didn't get it done on my first time, my first chance with the Bellator belt against Andre. He threw me whooping, so I didn't get the Bellator belt then. My second chance with Chandler, I didn't get the belt then. He won a narrow decision, close decision. So awesome, good for him. But I will have the Bellator belt around my waist. That's for darn sure.